It's vlog day 673.
Good morning, it's Mercy Ships Monday. Well, it's Sunday, but Mercy Ships Monday for you. And today I was going to talk a little bit about something that people really don't talk about that much when it comes to Mercy Ships, even though they probably should talk about more, and that's fundraising, money, asking for money specifically. And the reason that I think it's also doubly important is because it's kind of germane to where I'm at right now with my vlog and the beginnings of what's starting to smell like success, as well as my first few haters for that success, which is kind of to be expected, but some of it's coming from weird places. And so we can talk about both in one fell swoop. Money, nobody's favorite subject. One of the things that I had to get over when I was joining Mercy Ships was asking people for support. Because at the end of the day, it's a volunteer position on a ship, a couple people that get paid in critical roles that like legally have to be filled for the ship to run. If you can't find volunteers, they will pay those people. But the rest of us, like 98%, something like that of the crew, volunteer. What that means is you either have to show up with enough money in your bank account to support yourself over the course of however many months or years you're going to be on the ship, or, especially if you're going for years, you need to line up some level of support. You need people back home to be supporting you. This was something that was both kind of awkward, but also not that hard for me when I was doing Mercy Ships. Part of that is because I'd done a lot of volunteer work before. I'd done fundraising for other organizations. It's a lot easier to ask for money for something other than yourself. And when it came to Mercy Ships, I was definitely a little bit awkward about it because it was something that I was really excited about, something I really wanted to do. But because I was so excited about Mercy Ships itself and their mission, everything that they were about, everything that was going to be going on with them, I actually found it a little bit easier to sit down with people and be like, here, let me explain Mercy Ships to you. Let me explain what I'm going to be doing, and if you'd be interested in joining me in doing this, I could use your support. The main thing for me when asking, and I think asking is important, one of the things that you learn in fundraising is if you don't ask, you don't get, right? Like you just got to get over yourself and ask. You're not begging. Like this isn't just like a desperation move. You're simply offering people an opportunity to be a part of something they couldn't be a part of possibly any other way. And one of the things that really stood out to me was somebody, I can't remember who it was that told me this, but when I was kind of still getting over myself, they told me and they reminded me that I was actually offering people an opportunity to be a part of helping in a way that they wouldn't be able to do themselves. A lot of people with families, jobs, like really rooted people would love to go and be a part of what I was doing in West Africa, but wouldn't be able to leave what they had behind. And so offering them an opportunity to jump on board, to support me as I volunteered, it meant that I was giving them a chance to actively partner in a mission that was already ongoing in West Africa and giving them a chance to really be a part of something that they wouldn't have otherwise had the opportunity to. And by not offering people that opportunity, I was effectively preemptively removing the chance for them to be involved in that way. And that's one of the things that really stuck with me, in that generosity can only happen in a two-way street. When people want to give, they want to support, they want to donate to a charity, that can only happen if the charity receives that money, if the volunteers receive those finances or those resources. So it's very much a two-way street. You have an organization that's doing volunteer work that needs help, and you have people that would love to be doing volunteer work. And while they may not be able to do that, they may have the resources to jump in and help from a distance. The way that I did this that was different than anyone else at Mercy Ships at the time was I actually really heavily democratized my giving. All the people that were around me at the time were very generous, but also very limited. There were some that gave a fair amount. Actually, I had a couple of donors that were very, very generous. But the majority, when I approached them, I said, look, if you would like to be a part of this, just think about giving $5 or $10 a month. That's all it will take. And if I can get enough people on board at that level, that'll be fine. I'll be able to pay my way, be able to work and live on board, and I won't have to worry about anything. And that was the case. I kind of did a budget with my bills, as well as you have to pay for room and board when you're on the ship. You have to pay your own airfare. You have to pay for everything yourself, basically. And so I was like, hey, here's my budget. If you would like to be a part of it, this is where I'm at. Like, this is how close I am to my goal. And it was really cool. I don't remember how many in total, but it was well over 100 people jumped in. And that was something that was unheard of in Mercy Ships at the time. The director of donor relations, I think that was her title. I can't remember what her title was. But when I was in Texas, she approached me and was like, what you're doing is completely, like, you have more donors than anyone else in Mercy Ships. And I don't think she was actually particularly impressed with that. I think she was like, what are you doing? Like, you have all these small donations. Why don't you get like some real donors? And I don't know. That's not how I saw it. I wasn't there to try and like take any large amount from anybody, but I was very much just trying to like, hey, this is what I need to do. If I really believe in what I'm doing, if I really believe in this volunteer opportunity, and I won't be able to earn money because I'll be working full time on a ship in West Africa for 2 years and eventually 3, it turned out, I'm going to need people's help. And I also don't know a lot of like super wealthy people that can just dump money on me. And I don't know how I would feel about that either And it gets a little bit dicey, it's a little bit tricky, but I definitely was like, you know what? No, this is an opportunity for people, like I said, to express their generosity, to be a part of this, and I'm going to very actively make sure they are a part of it. And that's where the photo of the day started, which was a precursor to vlogging every day. I wrote a blog post every week. I was very, very active. I wrote a newsletter once a month. Made sure that everybody knew how much their support really meant to me and how much it meant to the organization, what was going on, and kept them apprised. And it was really, really cool to have a team of people going into it rather than just going into it by myself. And that's something that's really, really interesting about it that I don't think a lot of people think about when they think about raising funds or trying to get help. But if you're looking to volunteer, or you're looking to start a charity, or you're looking to be a part of anything that's trying to make change in the world, those people that support you financially are your biggest fans, and they're your team. They're a part of what you're doing, and they feel like it, especially if you make an effort to make sure they know that they're a part of it. But it makes it so much more fun and more valuable and just more impactful to have a group of people coming in to face a problem together than you just doing it by yourself. Which is why I don't think that I'd advise, I mean, you can go on your own dime, but even I have friends who had enough money to go on their own, and I advise them, there are a couple of people I'm thinking of in particular, to just open their donations page. Mercy Ships has its own donations pages for its crew members. You can go, you can donate, you can pledge to give monthly. And I really, really strongly encourage them to just open it up. I was like, I know you have enough money. I know you're kind of weirded out by the idea of people giving you money, but it's not about the money, and it's not about getting anything from people. It's not about making money. I didn't make any money. I broke even at the end of my time with Mercy Ships. I didn't come out with anything. But it's really about giving people an opportunity to be generous and to jump in and to partner with you, to be on your team and know that they're making a difference, that they're giving to something. Like, if the kind of people you don't want on your team, I had this kind of experience. And this will actually segue nicely into talking about vlogging as well. But I had a couple of experiences with people. I was a little bit insecure. I was a little bit worried when I started out, and I'm still kind of insecure about some of this stuff to a degree. And that's what makes it really difficult to talk about, is that money is something that people really just don't talk about that much. And when you are fundraising basically for your own income, it definitely feels a little bit weird. All money comes from somewhere. And I think it's really important to remember, if you get a regular paycheck from a job, or you make your money putting your hat out on the street, or you happen to be independently wealthy somehow, like wherever it is, money comes from something. Just because a bank employee gets a paycheck from the bank doesn't mean that the money comes from the bank. The money still comes from all the people who do business at and with the bank, right? Well, that's that oversimplification of banks. Maybe bank was a bad idea. But like somebody who's working in a restaurant, a cook, let's say, they get their paycheck from the restaurant, but that money comes directly from the people who eat at the restaurant. There's a filter there, so we don't really see the money exchanging hands. But when you're a volunteer like that and you're going straight to somebody, you're saying, hey, if you donate $5 a month, that $5 a month will go through Mercy Ships straight into my bank account. You'll get a tax write-off, and I'll be able to eat. It makes it a little bit more awkward, because without that buffer there, people start to feel like they deserve something. They have a little bit more of a say. They should be able to control a little bit what you do. And when I was raising money for my time with Mercy Ships, one of the things that happened in particular a couple times was really uncomfortable, was I had a couple people that were like, I want to see your whole budget. I want to see your expenses and your income. I want to see everything. I want to know where my money is going. And I don't want you to use the money that I'm giving you for this, or this. And not only was that incredibly off-putting, but I thought that was, and I believe this to be incredibly arrogant. And it's like, really? Because when you like bought the shoes you're wearing, do you know where the CEO, where the owners of that shoe store, where the people who made the shoes, do you know what they're doing with that money that you spent? No. You didn't ask to see the expense report of Nike before you bought the Nikes that you're wearing. Why do you expect to see what I'm going to do with the money? Like, what does it matter if I'm going to use it to pay for my Dropbox subscription or pay to have a beer? And that's that level of weird kind of control where it's like, well, I don't want you to use it on alcohol. Like, I think that's wrong, or whatever it is. And I told those people, you know what? I don't need your money. I don't want your money, because I don't want you to be on my team. Like, I want people on my team who trust me, who believe in me, and are going to be a part of what I'm doing together. Like, but I'm not here to sell controlling shares in my life. And overall, that was really good, because I only had to have that conversation with like 2 people. And the rest of my supporters and Mercy Ships were not only amazing enough to just give and be excited to hear what was going on when the opportunity came along, which was regularly, because I was very communicative. They were also wickedly generous, like so generous with me. And it was one of the first experiences in my life where I got to experience just overwhelming generosity from a group of people. And one is the story that will always stand out to me was when I was in Sierra Leone. I'd been with Mercy Ships like on the ship for about 10 months before I finally got a vacation, left the ship. Super stressful. If you know anything about my time with Mercy Ships in Sierra Leone in particular, massive amounts of culture shock. My first West African experience, the screening day that we had on the first day went crazy. It's the first time I saw someone die in person. Lots of stress, really crazy. And my friends back home knew that I needed a vacation. They knew I needed to escape, get a breather. They didn't want to go all the way home. That was going to take forever. I just needed a bit of a vacation. So I was fortunate enough to be able to plan a 2-week vacation here in Europe. And my friends back in the States, my supporters, the people that supported me regularly, held a couple of bake sales. They did some fundraising of their own. And they were able to come up with a couple $1,000s that they sent to me. And it was the first time I ever had a vacation in my entire life, as an adult at least, where I didn't have to worry about anything. I wasn't lavish, I didn't go nuts, but I was able to eat. I was able to travel a little bit. I was able to bounce around Europe. I stayed with friends in different cities and just kind of took it easy for a few weeks. I finished writing one of my books. I just had a really, really nice time. And it was this incredible generosity of people who just wanted to be a part of what I was doing and what Mercy Ships was doing by extension. Wanted to support me in that, wanted to express their generosity in that. And if I hadn't been able to accept that and to do it, I did it largely because I was like, I really needed it. But it was a huge lesson in accepting the generosity of others because it was very humbling to think that these people are going to work so hard to raise so money just so I can go on vacation. And when you're out in the field like that, at least for me, you feel like you've got to be an aesthetic. Like if I'm going to be working out here and serving the poor, I need to live poor, I need to be poor. I shouldn't have anything. And I think that's completely unhealthy. I think that's wildly unhealthy. But people should take care of themselves. And that was such a crazy experience. Knowing that there were people overseas who loved me enough to send me on vacation. Like that's ridiculous. And yet so normal and good and healthy at the same time. Maybe not normal, but I think it's definitely healthy. So I was fortunate enough my entire time with Mercy Ships. I mean, with the exception of the first 2 months of my time here in France, I didn't starve at all. The first 2 months when I was in France working for Mercy Ships, I was a little bit rough, got lost from the payroll for a little bit. That was not good. But the rest of it was really, really good, really, really impactful. And it brings me to today and some of the awkwardness of today. One of my great fears that I've been very scared to share as well, and I'll probably need to talk about in more depth at some point. The first year and a half of my vlog has been about just the downward slide into the just rock bottom in so many ways, and then the steady crawl out. And my fear was that there would be people that were very interested in the struggle portion, and then a little bit interested in like, oh, he's starting to be okay, and then would be completely disinterested in like, oh, he's doing well now. And I'm doing much, much better. Like things are very much on the rise. They're growing. And I have, like my supporters with my time with Mercy Ships, I have my patrons to thank for that. The generosity of the community that's growing is incredible. The random gifts, the random notes, all the comments, the emails, and the patronage is changing my life in some really, really positive ways. And I'm trying to figure out how to juggle that because the transition is hard for me as well as a storyteller, where there's this like dire impetus of like, will I get kicked out of the country? Will I have enough food to eat this week? We're exiting that stage. I know I get to stay here in France. I know I have enough food to eat. I have a place to live. My landlady is taking great care of me there. And I increasingly have the support of this. Like we just blew past another goal on Patreon, which is it makes me feel so validated and so cared for in a way that's so hard to express because, yeah, we can talk about that another time. I've talked about it before, but it's just, thank you so much. So all that to say that I have received some comments and some emails and stuff recently from people who are like, oh, this channel used to be interesting when you were struggling, but now you're just like all about like making money and blah, blah, blah. It's like, I'm still not even making a full-time wage, man. Like, hold off just 1 second. Hate me in a few months. This is dangerous. This is hard to say. But at the end of the day, one of the things that I have loved so much about, especially the patron community, much like my Mercy Ships supporters, is that they were people who were genuinely invested in what I was doing and took great joy and pleasure out of what was going on. And that the things that I gave back to them, in this instance, the videos that I give every day to you, they found, and so many of my patrons find to be of such value that they're willing to pitch in a little bit to help me make that a little bit better, to take a little bit of the stress off my plate, to put a little bit of food in that space where the stress was inhabiting. I haven't had a serious anxiety for months now. I was under such high stress and so anxious and not sleeping and not eating much. And just, I was struggling so hard for so long that like, I just had a little stress, like a really anxious moment a few days ago and realized, oh my gosh, I haven't had one of these in a really long time. What's causing this? Let's handle it. And I was able to handle it and be done with it. That's a crazy gift. Thank you so much if you're a part of that. Thank you so much for being a part of that. Like just being able to help me in that way. And I hope by extension that means that the content that I create is more interesting, the fun stuff that we do, the traveling, whatever, all the stuff that, all the doors that are opening, I just want to be able to share that more completely with you. So the few people that do come along, and I'm sure there have to be a handful. If one or two people comment, then there's probably 50 people that are thinking, I have no idea how the ratio goes. If there are people out there that are really upset with me for trying to make it, hoping to succeed, and hopefully actually succeeding as we go, if they have a problem with that, then they can go watch something else. Like I'm really hopeful that, I feel like kind of a jerk for saying this, I guess, but I'm really hopeful that the people that stick around, that watch the Hangout, are people. I've gotten to a place in my life where I am genuinely excited for the success of others, and when I'm not, I have to think like, why not? Like I question that, but like I really hope that if you're hanging out and you're watching, that you can root for me to succeed, not just survive, and that I can share that story, and I can share this experience. I can share not just France, but the experience of growing, succeeding, and hopefully just hitting some crazy highs along the way with you as honestly and transparently as possible. Which is why I'm making this video today, because this is not easy to do, but I think it's really, really important. And I really want to make sure that I do share all the experience along with these moments. So thank you, because 98% of you, 99% of you probably, are super supportive and wonderful. The comment section, my comment section on YouTube is unbelievable. Like the fact that it, is as positive as it is, and that people are so friendly to each other and starting to talk with each other. And like, I'm really, really excited for that. Really excited for what's going on, just on all fronts and in every arena. I'm sorry if it's off-putting at all that I end up talking about Patreon or selling a t-shirt or going on bike tours or whatever it is. And I'm definitely trying I don't want this channel to become a channel about hawking stuff. I don't want my YouTube videos to be about selling stuff. I don't want to be a salesman. I just want to tell the story of my life and about what's important to me, and just to share every day. That said, I still do need to eat. So I'm trying to figure out the proper balance of being like, hey, remember, haha, Patreon. Hey, remember Gustav, haha, and like just trying to leave that off to the side too, because that's not what I want this to be about either. So you can always call me out on that if you feel like I'm going too far. And I'm always open to criticism for sure, but I do still need to eat. This takes a lot of time to produce these videos every single day. It's a lot of work. You don't have to give anything. You can just enjoy it, watch for free. That's totally fine as well. But I would hope that for those of you who are not into, the whole like supporting side of things, that you'll at least not, deride the people that are. So yeah, I hope that made sense. Thanks to Josh for pushing me on reading Amanda Palmer's book on the art of asking. She and I have a lot of things in common, and a lot of things completely not in common, but it's really, really cool to see the community that's grown around her music and the support that she gets from that. And I see some similarities here. And I'm so grateful for those of you that are here, that are still watching, that have made it this far into a video, that are sticking around. And again, I don't want you to feel like you have to give me anything ever. You don't have to leave comments. You don't have to support me on Patreon. You don't have to buy anything. You don't have to do anything. I'm grateful that you're here, that you're watching, and that you're a part of it to the extent that you are. And that's it. All pressure off. Like, just do you. Hopefully it's entertaining enough. Hopefully I'm living a life that's not too boring enough. And, hopefully Badger brings you back for more as well. He's still asleep. Yeah, I'm very, 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 very grateful that anybody even watches these videos. Because like for the first year I was making them, I couldn't even crack 100 views on a video. And I'm still really small, but it's growing. And I'm appreciative of that. So I'm in danger of rambling. We're in the ramble danger zone. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave it at that. I hope that you have a wonderful day, wherever it is you are, whatever it is you're doing. And I will leave you with a time lapse of Sakura as a reward for making it this far, because I was going to open with it, but let's be honest, I'm not going to film anything else today. So yeah, and someday, hopefully, speaking of dreams, we'll talk about dreams here soon, because I want to share more of my like outlandish big dreams, because I want to get there someday. Someday I hope to have a real apartment, much like this one, with space and a kitchen. It's been wonderful to be here for a little bit. Nice little staycation in Montmartre. I'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning for whatever adventures come our way on a regular Monday morning. And yeah, thanks again. Talk to you tomorrow.